Hi everyone, my name is Saad Ali. I'm a software engineer at Google, and today I have Wes. He's a product manager at Google with GKE. Wes, I understand you've been working on the on-prem product for Google.
Yeah, so last Cloud Next was down in San Francisco around July, and we unveiled GKE On-Prem, which is a product that I've been working on for quite some time, and trying to bring Kubernetes or an opinionated Kubernetes installation to an on-prem environment. It's something we heard from a lot of customers that they really wanted to solve for hybrid scenarios where they had workloads that they couldn't quite move to the cloud, but they really wanted the power of GKE, right? All of the management features that come with GKE, and they wanted to package that up and put it in their own environment. And so we've kind of been working on that and taken that idea forward, and that's sort of the beginnings of GKE On-Prem.
That sounds super awesome. So let's dig into it a little bit. What does it actually look like? How does it work?
Yeah, so GKE On-Prem, the fundamentals for it are actually based a lot on open source, both open source Kubernetes, but a new project that spun up in the open source called the Cluster API. So this is something that we've gotten a lot of help from the community. Chris Nova at Heptio has been one of the main drivers behind the Cluster API, but we brainstormed this idea a long time ago around making infrastructure declarative. And this is a really, it was kind of a new idea at the time for Kubernetes. We had like 40 or 50 installers, and we found they were all sort of doing their own thing, right? And we were like, well, is there a way that we can take all the lessons we've learned around abstracting out infrastructure, making it into a Kubernetes compatible API, and provide a nice lightweight layer for us to build a cluster spec, right? What does a cluster look like? How are the machines provisioned? This all was sort of the genesis of the Cluster API, which is now forming the underpinnings for how we build GKE On-Prem. So GKE On-Prem actually uses a lot of the machinery that we've used in the open for Cluster API. We define what we want the cluster to look like. We have a cloud provider plugin model. Right now we're supporting VMware using vSphere as our underlying IaaS layer. But really, one of the nice features of the Cluster API is its extensibility. So while the scope right now is on VMware, there's opportunity for a lot of the other cloud providers to kind of plug in and make GKE On-Prem run across these different environments.
And what kind of capability is the Cluster API and GKE On-Prem going to enable?
It's really going to enable people to sort of treat clusters more like cattle. Is one of the big underpinnings of it. It's like we've been trying to say, if you can define what the shape and size of your cluster, check that into a Git repo or something like that, you have sort of a reproducible cluster. And if we can automate spinning those things up and tearing them down and automate the idea of adding nodes and removing nodes, kind of baking in some of the node pool concepts that we offer in GKE, well, this allows us to be much more flexible in how teams go and provision clusters. Quite frankly, what I've seen when I talk to a lot of customers is they have these clusters that are really long-lived. Someone's like, well, I need to keep my cluster up for 2 to 3 years sometimes because I never want to touch it. I just keep rolling upgrades. The problem is that at some point you may hit features that do require sort of a cluster rebuild, and the Cluster API really makes that process of standing up a new cluster much easier.
Okay. So it sounds like Google is using the Cluster API to be able to provision these on-prem clusters. It's going to enable the power of everything we have in Google Cloud to show up in on-prem. What are some of the other components that make up on-prem?
Yeah, so the real power of GKE On-Prem is that it's an on-prem Kubernetes product that is managed by Google. So there's this connection back to our cloud. We actually use a lot of our cloud console and our other container services that run inside the cloud in order to make sure that your cluster is healthy, and also to make sure that you can utilize a lot of the cloud-based tools that we've built for containers, things like CI/CD, our cloud build product, any of our security products that work well with GKE, and treat the GKE On-Prem cluster sort of as an extension of a zone, right? Like it's just another cluster that runs. It just happens to run inside your data center.
And so if you have a large on-premise data center, you could potentially use the cloud to burst workloads into.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you'll start to see us really start to invest more around multi-cluster tooling and making these actions where it's like we can build tools that migrate from one cluster to another. You can choose to run certain workloads in the cloud that take advantage of things like GPUs and TPUs, or you can keep things local for data sovereignty, regulatory compliance reasons. Those types of features are really what we want to light up with GKE On-Prem.
That's super exciting. When can customers begin to play around with this?
We are actively driving towards sort of a mid-2019 release for GKE On-Prem. We are already working with a number of early design customers and alpha customers getting this deployed inside their lab environments. So yeah, we're still iterating. We're still looking, for good feedback on it, but we're driving towards a 2019 release.
Cool. And is that the most exciting thing that you're excited about in the next year?
I mean, absolutely, right? It's going to be this is honestly a massive release for Google as a company because it really starts to sell the vision of where we're going with true hybrid environments and getting customers an onboarding path onto Google Cloud.
That sounds awesome. So switching gears a little bit, what are you most excited about at KubeCon?
I really am interested in hearing Brian Grant and Tim Hawkins talk a lot about the early days of Kubernetes.
The war stories.
I know I've heard a lot from Joe and Craig, and I'm kind of interested to hear how it got made inside Google. Being a Googler for quite some time, I know some of the different hoops you have to jump through. So I'm really interested in checking that out. I think it's later today or something like that where they're going to talk about that.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Wes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Take care.